Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. The president will address the nation a little less than an hour from now. He'll make his case for a protective wall along our southern border. Then he'll broadly argue that America's immigration problems are real. They're not a figment of our imagination. They're hurting the country badly. The president will say all that in a few minutes, but he will not go unchallenged, of course. The Democratic Party and its unpaid operatives in the news media will make their case, too. In fact, they're not waiting for 9 p.m. to do that. They're up early every day reading from the same set of talking points. Today's slogan is simple. Don't believe your own eyes. None of this is real. Everything is just fine.
It is absolute fiction that there's a national emergency here.
Showing that this is not about a crisis, it's a political ploy. Crisis, and it's a crisis that doesn't exist.
They are trying to create the notion that there's an emergency and something should be done immediately to prevent it. There is no emergency on the southern border.
Being from New Jersey, I know national emergencies. We've seen Superstorm Sandy, we've seen 9/11. This is not a national emergency, and certainly
this national emergency is completely made up.
A wall is a colossal waste of money for a crisis that doesn't exist.
Even if he declares a national emergency, he's lying. Even if he declares it, it will be a declaration of a falsehood.
This whole idea of declaring a national emergency is ludicrous because there isn't one.
So repeat after me. No national emergency. The crisis at the border is fake. It's fraudulent. It's totally made up. Think leprechauns or low-cal ice cream. Something only kids and dumb people believe in. Actually, you know what the border crisis is like? It's like that imaginary caravan from Honduras a few months ago. The one that marched all the way to Tijuana with TV cameras in tow, but didn't really exist.
They're telling you the existential threat to America is a bunch of poor refugees 1,000 miles away.
This group of folks, we don't even know where they are. They're way down there.
They've been running on an imaginary caravan.
This stupid caravan. You know, it's a lie that this caravan is a problem of that magnitude.
Right. Programming on the caravan was propaganda.
Yep, caravan's fake too. Breathe easy, America. A lot of the problems you've been worried about don't need solutions because they're not real. That's what the media are telling us about illegal immigration and a lot of other things, and it's a relief. But it does leave at least one big question unanswered. If none of this is really happening, why do so many people think that it is? How are millions of Americans experiencing the same hallucination at the same time? And the answer, of course, is it's an illusion. Americans are being tricked by that dastardly Fox News and those demagogues in prime time who won't shut up despite being warned repeatedly by the authorities to be quiet if you know what's good for you. Shadowy saboteurs, of course, played a role as well. They always do. The New York Times ran a piece the other day explaining that Donald Trump only supports a border wall because Roger Stone told him to. It was part of a political ploy. Stone, meanwhile, now appears to be caught up in the Russia investigation, and that makes some sense if you think about it. Donald Trump's election and a wall on the Mexican border. Nobody in Washington could imagine wanting either one of those things, or for that matter, imagining anyone else in America wanting them. So there has to be a secret cabal pushing this crap. Vladimir Putin, Roger Stone, Fox News, they're all in it together somehow. Maybe Robert Mueller will get to the bottom of it. That's honestly how people in Washington think. Trust us, we live here. Of course, it's completely delusional, demented, actually. But once you understand where these people are coming from, it's hard to blame them for constructing these fantasies. The next time you see some angry face on CNN shouting about this or that, remember, this person isn't arguing for change. This person is arguing for more of the same, arguing for a permanent extension of the way things are. They may claim they're mad about Trump or the wall or whatever, name the topic. But those are just symptoms of the larger problem, the thing they fear most, and that is an assault on the status quo. They like the status quo. They're deeply vested in the status quo. This is the group that's become richer and happier since the financial crisis of 2008. There aren't a lot of those people in America. Most of them live in a handful of big cities. A lot of them seem to have cable television contracts somehow. And what this group fears most is that some idiot will come along, ask a bunch of uncomfortable questions, and wreck what has turned out to be a very good deal for them. Low work, high-paying jobs, cheap household help, leafy, stable neighborhoods that look like it's 1965, and a corrupt and insular system of higher education that's essentially closed to outsiders, but that can be relied upon to keep this whole scam going in perpetuity. What you're really looking at here is a self-satisfied aristocracy. All of those are the same. What they fear most is a challenge to the way things are. Keep that in mind tonight as you watch their response. We don't need walls, they'll tell you. And they're right. They don't. They already have their own. John Summers is a former communications director for Senator Harry Reid, and he joins us tonight. John, thanks a lot for coming on.
You bet.
So they're telling us there's no crisis at all at the border. But I guess my question is, how would they know that? Since I don't think anybody knows how many people are here illegally in this country. I see estimates from credible sources that go from 11 to 22 million. That's a spread of 11 million people. So if we don't really know how many people are here, how can we say there's no crisis?
Well, and I think you raise a good point. There is a crisis, but that doesn't necessarily rise to the occasion of a national emergency. A national emergency is a very different thing, and that's not where we are. If you want to talk about national emergencies, you might talk about gun violence, where we have 35,000 Americans die each year because of that. That's not what we're seeing on the southern border. That doesn't mean we shouldn't address border security, and a wall can be part of it. We already know there are parts of a wall down there that were there long before Trump, including on the border of California, right? So we know that parts of a wall already exist, and if that needs to be an element of a more comprehensive border security plan, then I think that's good. I think one thing that we often forget, though, is that the majority of these people who are here illegally are here because of overstayed visas, not because they're pouring in through the southern border.
But hold on, wait. We say this, we make these generalizations. I probably have too, but we don't have any idea. If there's a spread of 11 million in the credible estimates as to the number of how many there are, and what we're really saying is we don't know anything at all about over 10 million people who live within our borders. Many of whom are using fake federal documents, fake Social Security numbers and fake federal. That's a felony in every case. It's a felony. So first question. If I go to a bank and use a fake federal document, fake Social Security number, should I be charged for that, or is that okay?
I think you should definitely be charged.
Well, then why aren't we charging the people who are doing it?
That's not what we're talking about right now.
Well,
that's not what the president is talking about.
Okay, no, look, I'm not here to defend Trump. I'm just here to state the obvious, which is this is a crisis. So if you're saying that I should be charged with a felony for using a fake federal document, and yet we have evidence that over 10 million people are doing that, but they shouldn't be charged. How does that work exactly? And what message does that send to the rest of us?
I don't know that people are saying that anyone who commits a felony shouldn't be charged. I don't know where you're getting at.
Well, I'm getting it because, well, hold on.
What we need to
have you heard is there a single Democrat you're aware of? We know that some massive number of people are using fake federal documents, right now, fake Social Security numbers, to work in this country. If I did that, you just agreed it's a felony and I should be charged. They're doing it, and no one has even considered charging them. So what we're looking at is a two-tiered system where the illegal foreign citizens get to commit the crime, but I don't as an American citizen and taxpayer. What message do you think that sends to Americans?
Well, again, everyone who commits a felony should be charged with that felony, and they should be afforded due process. I don't know how a wall is going to be the one and only thing that's going to stop
I don't know
what you're talking
anybody
about.
who's saying it's the one and only thing.
What do you think ought to be done to actually prevent this issue with overstayed visas?
How about we round up every single person who we think is here illegally and find out if they're committing the felony that we're talking about now, using a fake Social Security number? Would you be for that? You just said I should be charged for doing it, but you're not for charging them for doing that. So I just want you to explain that to me.
If you're caught in the act of doing it, then yeah, obviously you should be held accountable.
But what if I do it and I'm wait a second.
That's way different from going around and doing roundups.
Wait a second, John. Now you're changing.
You're talking about doing a roundup.
Wait, hold on. I asked you, should I be charged as an American citizen if I use a fake Social Security number? And you said, well, of course it's a felony. But now you're telling me that foreign nationals should not be charged unless they're caught in the act.
You said, should we go out and round them all up? That's a very different thing from catching someone when they're actually doing it.
Their presence in our job market is prima facie evidence that they're committing that felony. And yet we're not doing anything about it because we don't care. We think it's okay. We're willing to offer them sanctuary in various cities, but we're not willing to offer American citizens the same sanctuary. Do you see this as corroding our country?
So everything that you're talking about is exactly why we need to have more comprehensive immigration reform and not do this whole thing where we're shutting down the government, damaging our economy.
Wait a second.
800,000 people who aren't being paid. for one wall, which is nothing more than an ego project for the president.
Okay, I get the talking points, but I'm just saying.
No, it's not a talking point. It's reality.
When you describe what's actually happening right now in the country, does it sound a little bit more like a crisis? Let's take Trump out of this and even the wall out of it. Does it sound like a crisis to you? We have no idea who's here. Over 10 million people. We don't know anything about them. And after 9/11, the lesson was we need to know who's here, right? I thought that was the lesson. But we know that they're here, some huge number, and they're committing felonies, and nobody's doing anything about it, but that's not a crisis because why?
I think it is one of many crises that we face in this country that absolutely should be addressed. Republicans and Democrats should work together in order to do that. But it starts with the president. The president has got to be willing to work on a total comprehensive immigration reform package, not just one element of it.
Can you name one Democrat running for president right now who sees this as a crisis, who's upset about it, who thinks this is corroding the bargain that the government has with its citizens, which is, follow the law and we'll all kind of get along?
Every Democrat I know
sees this as a crisis.
Every Democrat I know believes we need to have strong, secure borders, that we need immigration reform that's tough on people who break the law, that's fair to taxpayers, and that's practical.
Can you name one who thinks that we should prosecute illegal aliens for using fake federal documents?
I don't know of any one of them who have had that question posed to them in the first place.
All the soothing language, like, oh, whatever. It's like no one even thinks about, what does that mean? All these people are living here. We have no freaking idea who they are, how they got here, what they're doing. By definition, we don't know. And that's totally cool.
I don't think anyone's saying that's totally cool.
Yeah, everyone's saying
but I don't think anyone, no, that's not any of all those clips that you just ran. None of them said, oh, there's nothing going on. There's not a crisis.
There's a sign in front of the White House right now.
It doesn't rise to the level of national
like angry
emergency.
Rich people from Northwest D.C. put a big sign, fake crisis. Okay. John, great to see you.
You too.
Thank you.